Okay, so we're gonna get this thing kicked off. Now, I'm just gonna be talking to you guys today about step one and the finer points of it, and answering questions, getting into detail on how my profile is set up, why it's set up the way it is, some of the problems or challenges that you guys have been finding, which are, in most cases, very rare that they happen. We've had a couple of things come up, and so I want to make sure that those are addressed and get you guys off on the right foot. And I'll explain a lot behind why you want. I know I went through step by step on the profile setup, and but not necessarily why. Some of the things I explained why, but not in great detail. So obviously the mechanics behind the scenes here is important to understand, so that anytime you have changes that you want to add to your profile, it's going to be easier to understand and implement the next time around, or when those changes are coming through. So first question before I even get started, someone's saying, or actually it's Richard, saying, someone told me that my profile name should not be my business name, it should be my personal name, as in the custom profile URL. So what he's talking about specifically is the profile URL here, the public profile URL. And if you notice, mine is actually an abbreviation of my name. And Richard wanted to know, should it be his name or should it be a business name? I've done both. It doesn't, it's easier to find you if you use a name. Sometimes, though, with common names, actually, which I think is funny, I think William Meers is actually taken by somebody else. So I don't have that one at my disposal. So sometimes it may make sense to put a business, especially if you've got a lot of good branding. Yeah, Richard Jones, that's what I'm thinking, a common name. Not saying you're common by any means, and neither am I. We're both, there you go, laughing at. Yeah, so, understand you can put whatever you want there. I prefer to use a brand of some sort. So if you're branding yourself or your business, all those things come into consideration there. So good question. Phil's asking, what does he say for his current position on his profile if he lost his job a couple months ago and you're currently unemployed? Well, Phil, I've been unemployed technically for the last 3 years, so don't feel bad first off. Actually, look at your unemployment as an opportunity, a second chance at actually living life, as I call it. So congratulations on that second chance. A lot of people go 30, 40 years at the same place. Well, not anymore. I guess back in the day that's how it was. But a lot of people go through life on a career, 10, 15, 20 years, and when they look up, they realize they missed their opportunity to do their own thing. Okay, so with that being said, your current position can be listed as whatever it is you're currently focusing on. Okay, so you can, if you want to list self-employment, or if you want to list actually I was going to go into that a little bit today, where if you notice mine says JV Broker Practice at Battlefield Marketing. I could actually just put anything I want into a current position. So if I scroll down to my experience, click Add a Position, I can have a position show up if I put recent dates on it, obviously. In other words, recent being it's what I'm currently doing, to where it says, another call to action, for whatever service or product it is that I have. So some of you have that concern because of your headline, and the terms of service says, you can't put any revealing information like a phone number or email. Well, it's open to interpretation. It really is. The terms of service are not strictly enforced on a lot of things. It's a lot like Google as far as LinkedIn's terms of service, in that Google reserves the right to really mess you up no matter what you do. Kind of like the U.S. government as well, right? So there's nothing we can do about that. We're citizens of the government, of the U.S. government, or the nation, and we're also, users of LinkedIn, users of Google. We're at their mercy ultimately. So you can do things, carefully, if that makes any sense. Don't go overboard and have 3 different current positions stating, hey, this is my phone number and a way to get a hold of me, or an email. But I'll tell you this right now, across multiple connections that I have and myself, I've never once had a complaint or a problem. And I know that some of you have recently and that you shifted to that and that was a cause for concern. Don't worry about that, okay? Until LinkedIn says something to you, do not stress that. It is not that big of a deal, I promise you. So, with that being said, I wanted to talk about the different sections of my profile. And before I get into that, are there any questions on what I just covered, which is actually some very important stuff? Let's see if we have any questions come in. By the way, those of you who submitted recommendations to me already for that recommendation exchange bonus, I've already sent back a bunch of those, and you know that, so you should have those in your inbox. And those of you who haven't, you know, you're not required to or anything, but know that option is there for you under the bonus section. Okay, a couple of questions coming in. Cool. Very cool. You're outside of the U.S. Is it okay to use your email address? I'm not quite sure what you mean by that. I mean, are you talking about is it an out of country, you know, email, or I'm not sure what you mean there, Sally. Can you excuse me? Can you clarify what you mean there? And while you do that, I'm going to answer the next one. In share and update status, I put my status update to a webinar underneath is attach a link. When I put my affiliate link to the webinar, it seems like it truncates. I'm not sure about it though, to the main webinar page. Yeah, it's what it does is LinkedIn picks up the main domain and puts, so it'd be webinarswaps.com would be your domain. But if you put you know, a link shortener, if you use a link shortener like tinyurl or bit.ly, that's bit.ly, which actually tracks your link, and that's cool because you can see how many people click it. That will usually, you know, it'll just show the bit.ly or the tiny URL, and people know that that's a link shortener, no big deal. So, or you can host it yourself on your own domain if you have that and know how to set that up. It's pretty easy. So that's for Nizar. Dennis is asking, I noticed that there are ads by LinkedIn members on the right-hand side of the page. Is that something we should consider to do? Actually, you know, you can. It depends on your budget. I know that the minimum cost per click on LinkedIn is actually $2. That's the minimum. They do offer cost per thousand, you know, for displays basically, and cost per click. And the cost per thousand is usually significantly less. But the problem with that is you don't know until after you've spent a lot of money whether or not you're getting results, whereas cost per click, you can get you know, a good understanding of that with probably a lot less money, if that makes any sense. So yeah, it's pretty expensive for what people are used to with CPC anyway. It's actually, you know, they're pretty good leads if you know what you're targeting right. So that's does a business page, a company page, I'm assuming you mean, Ed, on LinkedIn make sense? I think so. I mean, you can list, first off, it's a great way to connect with others, and people can find you via your business. It shows on your profile. You can add your products and services to the business page, the company page. You can do all kinds of stuff with the company page. And it's kind of like LinkedIn hosting a website almost for your company inside of LinkedIn, which has a lot of trust, of course. So that's a good way to expand your network for your business specifically, yeah. So it's not a bad idea to have a company page. Okay, where was Sally's response? Email address instead of phone number. To use your email address under your name is, as opposed to, yeah, you can put your actual email. I would not do that, and the reason I say don't do that is because there are people that run around grabbing emails with scraper programs specifically to spam you with email. That's why I have the @ with the brackets around it instead of the actual @ symbol on my summary. Okay, so that's why I do that with my email. But good question, Sally. Yes, this is being recorded. I knew that was going to come up. Are power users and or paid users using filters or alerts to pick up new accounts, growing accounts. Yesterday, a LinkedIn celeb endorsed all my skills. Yeah, paid users don't necessarily use filters or alerts. They have better search function within their network and things like that. They have more improved. They can actually see who's viewing them and things like that. And some of these guys actually even outsource their profile work for messaging and endorsements and things like that. And then they just focus on, providing content or whatever. So that's for Ken. Yeah, Sally, again, to confirm, I would use the brackets and the word at instead of the at symbol. Yeah. Richard, does LinkedIn give preference to paid LinkedIn accounts above non-paid to people searching on LinkedIn? Yeah, again, your searches and the amount of members you can see in groups, there's a lot of different features that on LinkedIn that you get access to that the paid accounts get access to as well, but the paid accounts get detailed access to that or increased limits, if that jives. Hopefully that makes sense on the existing features. So they, for example, you get a couple of in-mails, which are messages that you can send directly to someone without having to share a group with them or be a first connection. When you have a paid account, you get more in-mails, if that makes sense. Again, Dennis, the difference between endorsements and recommendations. Endorsements are, they changed endorsements to where it used to never be called endorsements. It was just skills and expertise, and now people can endorse you based on the skills that you list in your skills and expertise section. So endorsements are a form of recommendation, if that makes sense, but they're not a recommendation. A written recommendation is a written recommendation. Endorsements are endorsements on skills. Pretty simple there. This webinar is being recorded. You'll be able to watch it later. I'm glad you had to take a phone call from the client, and hopefully that went well for you, Julianne. Next question, using outsourcers. Wow, you guys are pouring on the heat. I'm telling you, we ain't even got into the training yet. Next question, using whoa, questions are pouring in. Hold on a second here. Can't keep up. Ken saying, using outsourcers, doesn't LinkedIn limit access by IP location? I'm sure they do. I don't know what those limits are, but I do know for a fact, and I can confirm, that people use outsourcers for LinkedIn accounts all the time. Some guys use multiple, and what they do is they just, when it's kind of like, when you run a construction company, and a 24-hour construction company, like in Las Vegas, for example, that they have for the casinos, you wonder how they go up so fast. That's how. They have 3 shifts, 8 hours long, of people working 24/7 on the casino so that it goes up faster. That's how you would work outsourcers that way. But good question. Let's see. Yeah, there's Patrick, there's a way to get your connections up. And that's actually, I taught that in the free webinar. That's probably what you're missing. I think I glazed over that point in the training area specifically because I knew I was giving that away before you even bought the product. So that's using toplink.com. A lot of people are using that to blow their connections up very quickly. That should happen within 24, 48 hours, not even. You should be blazing through contacts there. People are asking me to join their groups. Should I accept those? Tim, that's a personal choice. Again, you should know the limits on the groups now. You've got 50 main groups that you can be a member of at any given time. Yes, you can leave a group under the group settings and join other groups if you hit your max and want to change out some groups. But 50 is the max, and then 50 subgroups on top of that. So in addition to that, so choose wisely, right? As I remember, learning in Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade, right? Choose wisely. So, Mike Todd, presuming you're going to discuss Lion connections, yes, I will. I can cover those for you in just a second. Bag the question till after the prezzo. Can you post that webinar on the website? I will most likely be just posting that in the LiAlliance mastermind group on Facebook. simply because it's easier to reference. I may post it on the site, but the problem is that the way the membership levels are set up in the main website, the training area for LiAlliance, is that you have to go back to your receipt specifically for the upgrade to see those additions. So why do all that and go through all that hassle and make you guys keep logging back into JVZoo just so you can see those links when it's so easy for me to post them up on Facebook in a document and you've got direct access to them 24/7, because Facebook, to my knowledge, isn't going anywhere anytime soon. So that's how about you use Dan Liu's group joining software? If so, what's your assessment? Is it worth getting once it hits ClickBank? I have not actually personally used Dan Liu's software. Mark has, and to my knowledge, the last check on that, it wasn't working so well. So that's my assessment. I don't really have anything to say about it other than that. I wish you luck with that in figuring that one out. What's the benefit of joining a bunch of groups, Dennis? The benefit is you get to reach more people, and they're like-minded. That's the short answer there, because I got to get moving here shortly. No, the training today is not the same as tomorrow, not even more or less. Our training here is, again, specifically for you guys. If you noticed, I'm answering a lot more questions directly targeted to you, so please make use of that, wisely. The software that I just named, the Dan Liu software, that was, what was that called? LI Hunter. That's right, Ken. It's called LI Hunter. I think it's still for sale. I have no idea. Yeah. All right, so questions have tapered off. I'm going to take a break from that for a second, and if you'll hold all questions so we can go over some of this information section by section and get you guys geared up, okay? So here's what I want you to see first off. I'm going to do like a bird's eye view, 30,000 feet kind of view on this profile, so we can zoom in on each part afterward, but I want you to get the overall theme of this. Can anyone actually answer what it is that I'm looking to accomplish with my LinkedIn profile? Just short answers. You don't have to get crazy. Get more customers, lead generation, grab attention, joint ventures, Stephanie, she's very warm, networking, branding, clients, create credibility, right? There's a lot of things that I'm looking to do with this profile. Get hired. Right. The idea is I'm looking to become someone's joint venture broker, specifically. If all you knew about me was what you could see in this box right here, you'd know a heck of a lot about me and what I do. You'd know I'm popular, right? I'm one of the cool kids. I know how to network. And if you notice, I have a JV broker practice. I'm offering JV broker services. You know how to get a hold of me. You know my name. You know where I used to work. You see some of the education that I've had, which I've actually had a lot more education than that. But you've seen a lot. You can see a lot just in that box. So what I want you to understand is this box is your 30,000 feet kind of view. Your bird's eye view is what we call it. This is what you should be able to in 30 seconds or less, kind of like an elevator pitch, explain yourself, and this is your elevator pitch to your. Yes, Miguel, the webinar is being recorded and will be posted in the Facebook Mastermind group. All right, so yeah, this is your bird's eye view, right? Now, if this is what we've determined that is what I'm looking to do, that I'm looking to get joint venture broker clients, if you take a look at my summary, right, where I obviously, and again, I'm going over a general view, and we'll go back into each section here, okay? When I'm looking at my summary, what do I talk about? I talk about things that support my JV broker practice, right? I talk about how I can help them utilize joint ventures to cash in, okay? And then obviously I keep giving them ways to contact me, right, at the top and at the bottom there, and also a way to add me on LinkedIn. All right, so do you guys, Stephanie, yes, I can do that. I want to give the main training first and get through that. I will evaluate some of your guys' profiles. I have no problem doing that. I'm not using any SEO keywords in the summary, not intentionally anyway. And that's specifically because I know that skills and expertise is where most of that stuff is going to be, where I'm going to get most of the credit. Okay, so if you notice, a lot of what I'm doing is I have the mention of joint venture broker or JV broker, and so different terms spread out naturally. The last thing you want to do is load down your profile with tons and tons of keywords, mainly because when people come to your profile, they see that. What do you think when you see that on someone's profile? Does it give you a warm and fuzzy feeling? Probably not. You look at it and you go, wow, he's trying to manipulate the system. Let me ask you this. Would you hire someone? Yeah, exactly, George. Scares me off. Exactly. I mean, think about it. If I'm asking you to hire me as a joint venture broker and you can see that I'm trying to manipulate a system, does that give you, a good feeling, that I'm trying to yeah, probably not. Exactly. All right, so again, you can see my summary supports my bird's eye view, right? Which is what I'm looking to do. No, I don't think there's a way for me to open the comments up so you can see that. I don't believe there's a way for me to do that, unfortunately. Sorry, Mark. That's why I'm reading the questions off and helping you guys hear them and everything. Not everyone knows what JV brokering is. I've had a few people ask me, and usually I give them a quick phone call and let them know and evaluate on the spot whether or not there's someone that I want to do business with. Bimal, I did not get your question. I got that question, but I did not get your first question, I guess. Maybe I missed that. All right, so moving on, you can see how the summary supports my bird's eye view there. If you look at my experience, you can see, okay, this guy's got his own practice. He's done marketing. He's done insurance and financial. He's been in the military, and again, more insurance and financial. You can see that this section here, my history, my experience, I've worked at a lot of different places. I've worked at McDonald's. I've worked for a welding company, a metal company. I've worked all kinds of different jobs in different places. Underground utility locating. I've done a lot of crazy stuff, which is a lot of fun, actually, but you don't see any of that listed here. Why don't you see any of that listed here? It's not because I'm ashamed of it. I'm telling you guys I worked at McDonald's for, sophomore year of high school, right? I'm not ashamed of that. I was proud to have a first job. It's not related, Ed. Exactly. It's not. It does not support, again, my bird's eye view. I want you guys to get that recurring theme here on when you're setting up your own profile. Okay. Now, a lot of you have gone through all the training eagerly, which is great, and you may be asking, well, why do I want to set up my profile for what my main focus is if I'm promoting someone else's webinars? Does that mean I need to be a JV broker? No. No. Do you need to have a call to action exactly like mine or even similar to mine? No, absolutely not. I describe the profile as a meal. You've got your main course and then you've got your side dishes. Make sure that your side dishes support your main course. Very simply. Let's see, we've got a comment here. If you've had a LinkedIn profile for a while but your emphasis or business is now different, should one change your profile? I say as you make career changes in life, it may be important to go ahead and revamp your entire profile. As you make job changes or life changes, as I call them, smaller changes, those should be modified. Yes, on your profile, you should update that as often as possible, once every month or two. Run a check through it, and don't put that off. Updating that actually helps out quite a bit. So, yeah, you notice my experience supports that. Same for the skills and expertise. I'm targeting keywords here that support my bird's eye view. It's just that simple. The recommendations. I focus on asking and getting recommendations for, guess what? My main line of business. Does that mean that I don't accept recommendations for other positions I've held in the past? Absolutely not. I accept all those recommendations. I'm just saying, you can see how that supports education. You can see that I've actually listed some of the courses that I've gone through, including college. So not just college, which a lot of people think is, the thing to do. I went through and listed a high school diploma. A lot of people out there have GEDs. Nothing against it. I'm just saying I want to differentiate myself and say, hey, look, I got a high school diploma. That shows that I had some level of commitment at an early age, which is, it's increasingly rare in people today. I did not finish college because I just wasn't into it. College was not my thing. Continued education has always been I've always been very adamant about continuing education, but I just did not like the college system. I just didn't buy into it. I thought it was a crock of crap, okay? And that's the nice way of putting that. So I invested continually and still do in continuing education for my field and things that get me out in the field. So things like protege courses and brokering courses that, again, support, my bird's eye view. The free account does work fast in getting you 500 plus. You can with the downloads there, Patrick, you can get to 500 plus within 24, 48 hours very, very quickly. And if in a few weeks or months from now, if you make considerable changes in your profile, is it going to hurt your reputation? Miguel, again, I wouldn't, this is your life on a page. How often are you going to change things in terms of major changes that we're talking about? Think of anyone who's been great at something, and world renowned for something. How often did they change that about themselves? Probably not very often. Use your own judgment there on that one. Ed's college overrated, not good at teaching skills you need in life unless you're an engineer. Exactly. It's difficult to follow the questions going back and forth. Okay, I apologize about that, Ted. That's why we have a recording, so you'll be able to filter through and go through. But you've got my basic point here bouncing between the questions and what I'm talking about. Basically, all these sections need to support your main goal of what this profile is supposed to do. So your profile is supposed to have one major action, okay, on it. And you can see the rest of this is just basic contact information, applications, things like that. So now, with that being done, what I'd like to do, I'd like to go over each section in the summary. Do we have any questions about the summary? So we've already talked about our bird's eye view. Do we have any questions about our summary here? What if our training is experiential versus formal? You know what? I would list that in your summary. And maybe if there was a period of time that that you had, if you can narrow that down. For example, there were tons of military courses that I took for explosive training that I actually graduated the schools, but not all of them. Right, and I don't list them again because they're not related. But if they were, and I was still dealing in dismantling explosives, then I would list each of those schools in their own right. Why? Because I think they're that important. Because dismantling landmines is not the exact same way. Doesn't have the same procedures, not even close, for projectiles or rockets and things like that. So understand. There is a difference there between those two. Yes, you can list them. I've done it. You see on my profile where I have done it. So yes, you can. Short answer. If you have a finance background and are doing local offline marketing, should you have two profiles? No, I do not recommend two profiles. Not a good idea. Make it like a meal where you have a main course and you've got side dishes. Okay. That support your main meal, as a good meal should. Let's see. Would I recommend a paid top linked? I'll tell you right now, I have a paid top linked. I've recommended paid top linked accounts to people. When I did my initial training, I wanted people to be able to get the value out of that without having to put money down, if that makes any sense. So can you get value out of it? Absolutely. If you want ongoing value out of it and hassle-free kind of setup, it's well worth the cost. I mean, I think it's like $50 or something for a year, and I don't even have to look at that thing again. Plus, I think it's a subscription, so it renews every year. I don't even ever have to look at it ever again, and my profile's set with adding connections. So that's for you, CJ. Richard, I open a LinkedIn account in the name of a business rather than a person? No, but you can open a company page and tie that company page to your personal profile. If you want to promote a hydro cutting business, as an example, then you would have whoever's business that is that actually owns it create the company page and add you as an employee so that you can go in and manage the page for them. Very, very simple. Good question, though. Marcus, have I been contacted by anyone outside of LiAlliance for contract work from this new profile? Actually, I do get contacts pretty frequently. Someone just asked me that question about how many calls I get a week. I average, I don't know, 2 to 3 calls a week. And I don't do a lot of active promoting. I do enough, profile customization that people take notice of my profile very easily. Between that and top linked, I stay pretty busy. So, and I actually have a show for brokering clients that come on and want to launch with other people. It's called Shark Tank JV, and that's actually that keeps me busy as well. So between those two, I really don't have to actively hunt for leads anywhere near like maybe I used to even 6 months ago, which is nice. It's very nice. Do I recommend connecting with top connectors in the same business area? Miguel, yes, that is a great idea. Top, Lions or LinkedIn Open Networkers, those guys have lots of connections, and if you can find some in your local area, even better. Maybe you can meet up with them personally, and when you start building those kinds of relationships and contacts with people that have thousands of contacts under their management and control, or influence rather, your business starts to change very quickly. That's what I have to say about that. Are we using these tactics to sell virtual products? Not sure how we're going to monetize this. Yes, Dennis, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. We're selling other people's products. They're not always going to be virtual. Sometimes they can be tangible. It depends on the person and the webinar, the presentation, the sales presentation that the person you're going to be using that presentation from has. How do I access company page creation from your main profile or somewhere else? Yeah, right here there's a companies tab, actually right here. And you can create a company. There should be a tab here for that. Where is that tab? Hold on a second. I've got the questions box all in my way. Here it is. Add a company at top right. So yeah, that's how you find that right there. Oh, now I got to open my questions box back up. And let's see here. Let me go back to my profile. How long do I spend on LinkedIn every day, and how's that time apportioned? I don't spend tons of time on LinkedIn. I logged in today for the first time since maybe, let's see, today's what? Thursday, right? Let me get a bearing on what today is. The last time I think I logged in was Sunday or Monday, maybe. I'm pretty sure I did somewhere around the first of the week. I log in 2-3 times a week. I know a lot of people that are social media experts and spend a lot of time on profiles in general, promoting and things. They can spend anywhere from 10 to 15 hours on LinkedIn alone because it's that good of a source. So hopefully that helps answer your question. And my time was apportioned by, answering messages, returning recommendations, going and asking for endorsements and recommendations, and the messages I get usually are from people looking for my services. Sometimes I'll search, if I've got a shortage of leads, then I'll go and spend some time, I'd say about half my time searching for leads, because once I've got my profile set the way I want, it's nothing for me to go and look for leads and spend most of my time, 50% or more, over there doing that. So how many turn to real business for me? Miguel, that's going to be, I see where you're going with that question on how many people call me versus how many actually do business with me. I'm very picky. I'm very selective about who I choose to work with and what projects I choose to work on. So it could be 3 projects in a row, all in a week, or it could be none. Like right now, I'm booked. I'm done probably until I'd say after Thanksgiving, but even between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I know that there's a couple things that are going to come up that are going to book me. And with the holidays slowing everybody else down, I'll probably be basically booked until the first of the year minimum before I can take a look at another project. So leads coming in, I respond to saying, hey, listen, I'll look at some stuff, I'll talk with you or whatever if I've got some time, right? Which obviously later in the holidays I will, and I tell them that. And, hey, listen, I'm going to be working on this and that, but let's look at this, let's gear up. If you're not under a time crunch, let's talk later. The significance of a recommendation, you feel it's awkward asking a stranger for it. Yeah, I don't encourage you asking for recommendations from people you don't know or people you haven't done business with. What I encourage you to do is go to people outside of LinkedIn that you have done business with, or traded services with, or help somebody out. Even in some of the Facebook groups for internet marketing, if you've helped some friends out, there should be no issues with you feeling weird or guilty about asking for a recommendation if you've helped someone out. And that's the key here. Knowing the people you're asking is the key. So hopefully that helps you answer that. Do I make regular posts? Actually, Stephanie, I'm horrible. Horrible at making any kind of consistent posts for status updates. I hate status updates. I still use them. I mean, for those of you who follow me on Facebook, which please don't, because I suck at that stuff. I just don't like those features. I don't want people knowing what I had for dinner tonight. I don't care about what your rants are or what your political views are. I don't like seeing other people's updates, so it turns me off so much to see other updates from other people that I just don't use the feature, because it's like an open, how do I say this? An open forum for, complaints and dissatisfaction more than it is positive stuff. Unless you read all the positive memes that come through. So I don't use it that often. And yeah, I know it's LinkedIn. It's a professional site. It's a little more, it's different in that respect than Facebook. But I don't have a need for it. I'm not trying to, look for leads via status updates, so I don't need to worry about that. Bob, William, where did you type double your sales in 30 days, hire me as your joint venture broker? Good question. That's called your professional headline, and there's an edit button right next to your name. If you click that, you will see headline, professional headline. That's exactly where you change your headline. Good question, Bob. Do you charge by project or hourly? It depends. I have two different modes of brokering. Actually, I broker for online clients, and then I broker for offline. So I do some offline deals, like there's a vitamin supplements company I'm working with, and that's a tangible product, bricks and mortar business, pretty much offline, joint ventures there, and brokering and for deals for exposure. So that's a bit different than someone who's got an ebook. Right, where it's intangible, it's mainly their market's online. Could they put it into a tangible form like a CD, like through Kunaki? Absolutely they could. Do I advise that, and for my clients and whatnot? Yes, I can and do sometimes if it makes sense, if it's popular enough, if it's mass market enough, and I do assist in through brokering crossovers between offline and online. Hopefully that makes sense. So sometimes I charge by project, sometimes I charge hourly. A lot of times what I'll do is I'll charge an upfront, and then I'll charge performance basis after that. So whatever I feel would make me comfortable working on, taking on the project. If it's a mass scale project, I'm probably going to want a good bit up front. And some of that will actually even be used to do what I want to do for marketing and for brokering on that project. So it just depends on the size of the project, Dennis. Do I have a J or Willie type protege program yet? Marcus, I do not. I don't know if I'm going to put one out. I was thinking actually about taking an intern, and this kind of gets off topic a little bit, but I haven't decided on that yet, because I know it's going to be a lot of work to interview the right person for that and find somebody. But yeah, I mean, I can throw out some messages there, let you guys know. Lou Silva, when asking for a recommendation, it's important to have full name and maybe company name of person giving you a recommendation. It doesn't hurt, because I use recommendations on LinkedIn to build up a testimonial book, or what I call a raving fans book. I got that from a great sales trainer named Eric Laughlin. Great guy. Used to be Anthony Robbins or Tony Robbins' #1 sales guy. So he knows a thing or two about selling. He's personal friends with Jay, and so yeah, that's yeah. I would say, the more information you have on your recommendation, the better. Hopefully that helps. If it's not there, it's not there. If it is, great, excellent. Let's see. Lots of people with the same name. Any ideas for narrowing search? Peter, I'm not sure I understand your question. Can you rephrase that? Marcus, second try. I told you the questions, the comments are coming in pretty fast. What title would you use if you were just using your system, i.e. I am service product broker? What title would I use if I were just using my system? I'm not sure what you mean by that. I am using my system. And I'm using the title I'm using because I'm using my system. I hope I answered that correctly. Maybe you could get back to me too. So does anyone have any questions, I guess, on summary? No one's really asked anything about that. Some people choose to make this more salesy. I like to write a story, or not necessarily story time, but more about give examples even of your work if you want. You don't have to give case studies, not that kind of example, but talk about specifics of what the benefits are of having your service, right? So if you notice, I tell them, listen, my sales and background, which I point to my past, which means I've been doing what I've been doing for years, just not been called a broker, basically. It serves very well. It takes things even further when I uncover your hidden assets and make them more profitable. I tell them I want to hear about their unique project. And then I list some problems that you may have that most of my clients that come to me typically have, and things that I can solve for them very quickly. So a lot of people, let's see, the 3 paragraphs are a good size. You can make it longer. Mine's actually kind of short. I've seen a lot of summaries that are long. I wanted mine short because I wanted it to be direct and to the point. Contact me, almost like a direct response ad. Right, almost like an advertorial, if you will, which is a cross between an ad, an advertisement, and an editorial, right? All right, so let's move on to experience. It's actually a little bit different. Listing positions is not as simple as listing a position. If you notice the experience that I list, I don't say, I don't treat it like a resume. I treat it as yeah, it's like a bigger elevator speech. That's exactly right. I hope I pronounced this right. Grazina? Hope I pronounced that right. Yeah, it's a bigger elevator speech is what that is, more or less. Again, it expands on your bird's eye view, right? Okay. So experience. If you notice, I don't talk about what most people talk about when they think, when I say, hey, what'd you do at your last job? You'd probably come out with some BS that most people do, and this is no offense to anybody, okay? I'm just trying to help you gain perspective on how to be better, okay? So don't take this the wrong way. But we all know when you ask someone about what they did at their past job, they say, oh, I did this or that. I was responsible for managing 5 employees and made sure they got there on time and punched their cards in and kept their sales numbers up. And who cares? Holy crap, that's so boring. If I'm reading your profile, I want to know more about you, not what you did, but what you did and what you learned and how that makes you that I'm seeing today in this profile. So if you look, it's like, listen, my experience as a trained JV broker comes from several sources. So this is pretty interesting. It's like, oh, look, I've got several sources for learning for my JV broker practice, right? If you look here, when I was a VP of marketing at Capital Conservator, I tell you about how I started out and how I rose. And then what I did while I was there. I greatly improved my marketing chops, right? I actually cut a lot of teeth there, baby teeth there, on some sound principles in marketing that I still use today. because I had a huge marketing, well, I wouldn't say huge, I had a great marketing budget though, and you know, applying that to in-flight magazines and radio commercials and knowing all about targeting and demographics and learning all of that to a different level, taking that knowledge to a different level, that was all integral to succeeding as a broker today, because I understand a lot about markets and what to look for these days, especially in a product, right? No, I didn't spend 2 months there. I think I got that wrong. That should be January 2011. I need to go back and change that. I was there a little over a year, 13, 14 months. Let's see. So yeah, you can see even as an airman in the Air Force, this is when I look back on my military experience, this is what I gained from it. And I don't say, hey, I was responsible for doing this and this and this in the military. I say this is what I got from it that goes towards, again, supporting my bird's eye. Okay, so we got some questions coming in here. What if you have no marketing experience, only took some courses? I would say in that case, actually Jay Abraham teaches this, is go out and do some marketing for people, for free, and build up some case studies of your success. That actually helps a lot. And I know you might be saying, oh, that's free work, but if you say, hey, I'd like to do some work for you for free, but in exchange, not just for free, but in exchange for that, will you recommend me on LinkedIn? Will you give me good feedback? And I may have people contact you in the future and ask you about me, almost like listing them as a reference. Do I have permission to list you as a reference? And when you send letters out to people and you're listing your references for people you've done work for, they've got nothing but good things to say about you, right? So take that into to a consideration there. Let's see. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. I think a lot of us have these marketing sales background, so probably are questioning how to tailor a profile to support this new approach, selling webinars without looking so amateurish. You know what? There's nothing wrong with the idea of, Dennis, being an amateur at something, okay? Because there are really, really good amateurs that turn into pros. So just because you're self-employed and focusing on real estate doesn't mean you don't have time to essentially just play matchmaker. You can take an approach of, listen, I'm a real estate guy. This is what I focus in, but I got a lot of connections. I know a lot of people. Look, for example, Donald Trump. Okay, what does Donald Trump do? Anybody got an answer on that one? Real estate. That's how he made his money. Time and time again, even after he went bankrupt. Real estate. Big real estate guy. Is that all he does? If I were to go to Donald Trump right now, could he hook me up with like 10 of his buddies? Heck yeah, he could. Are you kidding me? If I asked nicely, maybe he would. But the point is, if I were talking on that kind of a level on LinkedIn with someone and they focused on real estate, I don't just narrow them down like that. That's the point. I want you to understand that this is an open networking, site. This is a place for you to go and network for multiple different reasons, not just one thing that you list on your resume, profile, whatever, right? So don't narrow yourself down like that. And no, you don't look like a noob when you do it. You just feel like one because you've never done it before. It's no big deal, I promise, Dennis. You're on the right track. Any importance, Lou's saying, any importance not to have any date gaps in between experience entries? I would say, I didn't really take it that seriously. There's a huge gap between, 2005 and 2002 when I graduated because I had a bunch of smaller jobs that were unrelated. Again, that depends on if you're trying to make this more a resume site or if you're trying to build a profile that's impressive for your skill set and what you're targeting for, right? So that would be my answer to that, Lou. If you do have two profiles and two separate niche profiles already, how do you combine them? I don't think you can combine them, CJ. I think you're just going to have to shut one of them down. And combining them, you would want to, again, make your profile more meals, like a meal setup. Again, main course and side dishes, which are not as big as the main course. So, you still have to have the main course there at the top, which is your bird's eye view, okay? All right, let's see. How do I handle LinkedIn if my business signs a confidentiality and NDA that prevents me from name dropping? Is fairly new and does not have any clients yet. Uh, I'm not quite sure, again, how that affects you. Your business signs a confidentiality and NDA that prevents you from name dropping. So you can't even list the name of the business as in you're working for that business, Richard? Is that what you mean? Okay, then I wouldn't list it. I mean, if it's against the terms of your NDA and confidentiality agreement, don't list it. It's not worth the risk. Uh, I mean, why would you want to list it anyway if it's against your agreement? I'm not. I guess I'm not understanding why you would want to. How can LinkedIn help you if you cannot? Uh, they can help you because, again, it's a personal profile. Companies being listed as experience is one thing, but you and your personal profile, that's a whole nother. If you want to list that in your summary of the fact that there are companies you work for that you've signed NDAs for that you can't even name, that actually adds a little bit of mystery to you. Like, I'm like, this guy must be big time. He's signing NDAs with people about some really big stuff. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a need for an NDA. And he can't talk about it, but he's able to list at least the fact that he's working for companies in that respect, if that makes any sense. There's always a spin there. Always a spin. Marcus, clarity follow-up, helping people find great resources, training, software through webinars. Exactly. If we turn your system into consulting a broker service, you can do that. You could call yourself a broker if you're looking to become a broker. I wouldn't just go outright and call yourself a broker. I'd go out and set some brokering deals up first, introduce yourself personally one-on-one via the phone, emails, and again, set up some free deals for people. Actually, one of the things that I do, and this is a trick for me as a broker, I'll actually approach a client that, if I don't have any leads, I'll approach someone, or if I see something that I like and I want a piece of it, I'll just go after it and say, listen, how about I add something to you for zero risk, add some business to your bottom line for zero risk, and I'll tell you what, I make a living doing this. I'll do the first connection for free. And if you like that connection and how well that works out, then we can talk money and I'll set up more for you on a performance basis, meaning you don't pay me squat until I earn. But I'll give you the first one for free. Because I know for a fact I'll be able to set up more than one connection for that person and promotion, right? And by doing that, now I've got that leverage to get into any business that I want that would take me up on that deal. They'd kind of be crazy not to, but that's again, a broker-related thing and not LinkedIn Alliance. Glad to answer it, but let's see. Do company sites link back to your personal profile and vice versa? May not want someone in field knowing you're also doing other things. Yeah, Ed, it's going to link back. I'm almost positive it links back. It's well, LinkedIn's a well-respected site from Google. It ranks highly. There's a lot of trust there. I don't know if I'd list your own sites there if you're not wanting them to link back or be found. Yeah, Mike, Windows not genuine. This computer actually came from Uruguay, and they didn't have a legit copy of Windows in the entire country, and that's not a joke. So yeah, I have a illegit copy of Windows. Yes, I do. All right, let's see. Any comments or questions on endorsements on skills and expertise? See if we got any coming in from there. It's pretty self-explanatory. Hey Lou, I appreciate that. Saying great stuff so far. I appreciate that. That means a lot. Again, this is targeted to you guys and your needs, not it's not general training. I know that you've already had that in LiAlliance main training, and this is more, for you guys. So you should feel special. And I'm not saying that to pump myself up. I'm saying that to pump you guys up, because this is an elite group. I mean, we share, a place on Facebook where we can get together. The reason we do our group on Facebook, by the way, I know that sounds kind of funny. We have a LinkedIn mastermind on Facebook, but with the group feature on Facebook, we are able to share a lot of documents back and forth. LinkedIn's groups are a little iffy on stuff like that, right? And it's just a more solid platform for masterminding and comments and whatnot and threads over there. So that's why we're over there, in case anyone was wondering. So, Hakeem, you're asking if you should endorse someone if you don't know them, even if they've endorsed you first. Like, should you endorse them back? That's your call, strictly. I endorse the people that I know and what I know them for. Okay. After this basic profile optimization, what, in your opinion, should be the next step? Yeah, and that's what we're going to cover here in just a second, Miguel. So hold on just a second while I answer some of these other questions. We'll get into the next step, because I actually have some homework for you guys. And don't freak out. Don't leave the webinar just yet. I know I said homework, but and that has bad connotations attached to it from 12 years of public education. Calm down. Okay. It's going to be, number one, it's going to make you money. Okay. So just, chillax there for a second. Yeah, personal order of this, I just stick with what they give me. I like the summary where it's at. I do move the recommendations up. I think it's if I'm not mistaken, no, my recommendations are down there. So yeah, I put those under skills and expertise. I put those together. I put it in pretty much a standard format that is used to. I kind of leave that alone. Can you, put apps all the way up at the top and have a video on SlideShare? Yes, absolutely. It's just not what I do. That's all. Let's see. If you just wanted to provide the service you teach in LiAlliance, what title would you use in a job profile? I would use something like, custom workshops. I would say something about, ask me about custom workshops for your industry, and something along those lines, if that makes any sense. Custom workshops, custom training, things like that, because that's actually what a lot of these webinars are. They offer a lot of training and then obviously a product at the end, which people will love. So let's see. Yeah, I think, Miguel, a few people have already reached over 500 connections in our group. I think several people have at this point. Joyce and Brian, can you use your own company profile rather than a personal profile to join LinkedIn groups to do the webinar promotions? That would be a negatron. A company's page is a page. It's not a profile necessarily. I mean, it's shaped like one, yes, but you've got to use your personal profile to do all that. Tim saying got his 500 in 5 days. Excellent work, Tim. Good job. That was pretty fast. Let's see. Looks like that's it for now. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we're headed with this, and now that we've talked about profile optimization. Of course, the group is always open. Okay, so don't think that you can't get your questions answered. The recording will be there as soon as this thing is rendered. Okay. But also don't forget, you can ask your questions over there. Please don't post on my personal wall. I might miss it. Actually, I had someone came back and told me that I missed that on my wall because I don't go there. I was just looking in the group. So be sure you post your questions and comments in the group so that I can answer them there. Okay. Let's see. So with that being said, profile optimization, now we're going to be moving into finding a good webinar. And, well, tomorrow's webinar is not that, but next Thursday, that's what we're doing. So you've got a week to build up some serious connections and recommendations and endorsements and get really humming on your LinkedIn account, okay? And that's what I want. I wanted there to be some time for that, which is why we set this thing out about almost a week from the date that we launched, so that you could get in, have time to absorb the content, apply it, right? Which a lot of you did, so congrats. That's why you're in the mastermind, because you're action takers, right? So now that you've applied it, you keep applying it, and by the time we get to where we pick a webinar next week, that's when things are really going to click, because I'm going to go over specific examples of webinars to pick and why you should pick them. And then we're going to have Mark and William's picks updated, which is also a document in the Facebook group, and we're going to add those webinars to that pick section, so you can see what Mark and William would promote. Okay, that way there's no questions. So the webinar tomorrow, Bradley, is for everybody that bought LiAlliance. It's not just for the mastermind, so it's not a regularly scheduled mastermind webinar. The mastermind webinars are every Thursday for 4 Thursdays. So this being the first one, the next session for LiAlliance is going to be next Thursday, same time at 3 p.m. Eastern. Okay, and tomorrow is a special session on list building from webinars and strategies for leveraging webinars for list building, okay? Because the best part about doing a webinar is following up with people, and we're going to go over multiple ways to follow up with people, not just via email, by the way, okay? And in different circumstances and situations that you would want to use that. So you may be sending people to someone else's webinar, but you're collecting their email or address or phone number, right? Pretty cool stuff. So you did not see an email on the webinar for tomorrow. Gary, you can find that on the main page of LiAlliance. There should be a welcome video on the home page. I think it is. I think it's called home. Home or start. I can't remember what I called it. But underneath the video, there's a link that actually says, hey, go register for this webinar. Okay, so you should be able to see that webinar link there. You can register for that. It's tomorrow at 3 p.m. is when we're going to cover that stuff for everybody. So that's where you can find that, Gary. Good question. Yeah, so the homework, let's get into the homework here really quickly. What I want you to do is go back over, okay, go back over, even if you've gone through it once or twice, doesn't matter. Go back over the second step, okay, the webinar step, okay, where you're going to go out and find webinars. And here's what I want you to do. I want everyone to secretly, don't talk about it with other people, okay? And here's why. I don't want you talking about it in the group. I don't want you talking about what you're, exchanging ideas or anything. I want you and you only to focus on your top 3 picks for webinars on webinar swaps and high-ticket webinars, using the training I've given you, okay? Now, understand, I want the top 3 picks on each site. We'll just work with those 2 sites only. So I want your top 3 picks on that site, unaltered, uninfluenced. There's no influence on your decision. That's why I don't want you talking to anybody else, not because I want to keep this a secret or anything. You guys are in the mastermind. But I just don't want you talking about it, influencing each other on what you thought was better or worse and whatnot. Because here's why. When we go over the picks, okay, you're going to be able to immediately determine what stood out to Mark and myself versus what stood out to you. And you'll immediately either see congruency, right, things that are good, and or you'll also see things that could need some work. Like, oh, I totally missed that. I did not see that. I need to look out for that next time, right? And if you don't talk to other people, it's going to be very powerful, very effective in training you without influence from other people how to be independent and making good judgment calls and good decisions on picking good products, because that is key. I got to tell you, you can throw all the traffic in the world at a crap product and you're just not going to be happy. But if you find the right ones, okay, so that's why that's the homework. So the two sites that I'm talking about, see, now I know you guys need to go back and watch that training again, which is why I want you only to watch step 2. Don't focus on promotion yet. We'll get there in a bit, okay? I want you to focus on the two websites that are mentioned as steps in the training, which is webinarswaps.com and highticketwebinars.com. Both of those sites are shown in the training. They each have a video, actually, even to how to go through the affiliate system for webinar swaps. So that way you can see everything. Yeah, you can choose from the replays. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Good question, Ross. I would choose from the replays for your top 3 on that site, because usually they only have one or two playing or scheduled coming up. The second step, Dennis, is the second step. It's there's 3 main steps. You've got profile, then you've got the product, and then you've got promotion. Those are the 3 steps. So step number 2 would be product. Product being, go find the webinars, pick your top 3 from each site, webinar swaps and highticketwebinars.com. Let's see. Yeah, Ted, I mean, and again, the privacy, again, is for your betterment, right? I want you to become independent. I want you to be, here's the thing, guys. LiAlliance was designed and is going to be and is already a place where you can learn from others, okay? But I want you to learn from others how to become independent and work with someone, not being dependent on them, right? Because the last thing I want is for you having to wait on a support ticket for me for even 2 hours, right? Even if I could get back to you that fast, sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. I want you to be able to just know the answer, or at least have the network amongst yourself to get the question answered and be confident in your decision-making process on picking a product and promotion methods, all that jazz, okay? So that's why I want the privacy there, just for this homework, okay? The rest of the stuff we can talk about freely. Just keep your picks, as I call them, a secret. Like if you were at a dog track or a horse track, don't let everybody know what you chose to bet on. Holy crap. You only let your friends know that, right? But in this case, don't let anybody know, because you're going to find out really quickly where you stand. If you're completely off the mark and got a lot to learn, or if you're really close like you thought you were, you had a hunch that you were just missing a couple of things, and those couple of things make all the difference, trust me. So that's why that training is going to help. Pick based on what criteria, Dennis? Excellent question. There is a training video in step number 2. It's called What to Look For in a Webinar. And that is what I want you to look for. And here's the cool thing about that. You may not be able to find all the information on that webinar that I ask you to look for in a webinar, and that's okay, because I just gave you the keys to the kingdom. Just because that information is not displayed on webinar swaps or high-ticket webinars, the name of the person putting on the webinar is. Go and contact that person. If it looks like it meets most of the qualifications that you can narrow down on that list that I give you in that video on what to look for in a webinar, go to that person and say, listen, I'm interested in your webinar. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions. I see this, this, and this. Here's what I have a question on, this and this. And get your answers and make your decisions based on those answers. So this is actually another way of teaching you. It actually forces you to do what most people don't, okay? But in a nice way, because it's homework. You got to get it done. And you want to get it done, because the more you know about popular webinars that are doing very, very well, the better, okay? And you'll find a lot of the webinar owners are very open to talking about their own products. Surprise, surprise, right? Let's see. Top 3 from both, total 6. That's correct, Ken. Yeah, we're going to do top 3 of both. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have to support your profile, okay? They don't have to be in niches or topics based on your profile. Pick the 3 best that you think will do well. Overall category, okay? Just because I'm a broker doesn't mean I won't promote a Kindle webinar, because I'll go to authors and aspiring authors and Amazon people. I'll promote all kinds of different targeted niches and places. But just because I'm a broker doesn't mean I don't know about that. That's like saying because I'm a broker I may not know how to fish, you know what I mean? Or I may not know anything about karate, which I don't actually, but I'm just So I'm just illustrating the point there, hopefully, so they don't have to be relevant to the profile. All right, so that is session 1. If you guys have additional questions about profile optimization at this point, and or your homework, obviously hit me up in the Facebook group. Try not to blow up the support email unless you've got questions about the product itself, like maybe a video's broken or a link is broken, or where do I find the webinar registration link for tomorrow at 3, those kind of things. Those are fine for support, but keep the let's keep the conversation in LiAlliance so everybody can learn. It's almost like everybody being able to see the chat, like Mark Lyon was saying. I wish we could do that for GoToWebinar. Maybe we can. I'll have to actually look into that. I don't know if we can or not, but man, that would be great if we could. So I'll look into that, and oh, I can. Okay, good. I'll look into figuring out how to do that. Maybe Mark knows how to do that, Mark Helton. And we'll do that for the next session then, if we can get that in, hopefully tomorrow, and get those questions answered. All right, so that's it, guys. Hope you got a lot of value out of that. And remember, tomorrow, Friday, is not a mastermind session, but you are all invited, because everybody that bought LiAlliance is invited to that. And next Thursday is our session. So you've got a week to get your homework done. And you'd be surprised, guys, an hour or 2 on Saturday to do your homework, and you could be done and like worry-free the rest of the week. I'm telling you, a lot of these guys are up and about on the weekend, online, nothing to do. Don't let them fool you. Don't let them think that. Don't let them make you think they're out there partying all the time. Trust me, they're probably working on a Saturday because they're addicted. All right, so get out there, ask those questions to the webinar creators and designers there, and get your questions answered to be able to pick your top 3 on each one. Okay. All right, so that's all we have, and we're going to be cutting loose now. So we'll see you tomorrow, guys. Have a good one.